Get your Amazon Prime free trial started today. We at Cigars and Sea Stories love Amazon Prime. We use it all the time. I myself, Mike Penny, am a member of Amazon Prime. I use it for live streaming on music, video, things of that nature. Sign up for a free Amazon trial, 30-day trial right now. You can find it on the resources page over at cigarsandseastories.com/resources. Take a look at that ASAP. Folks, if you haven't already done so, check out Audible. You can get your latest podcast. You can get the best in audiobooks. And if you're like me, you're always on the road. You're traveling around, in and out of airports, stuff like that. Always got the earbuds in. Check out Audible. You can get a free trial today when you go to audibletrial.com/cigarsandseas. That's audibletrial.com/cigarsandseas. Check it out. Due to the graphic nature of its content, listener discretion is advised.
From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight.
On this episode of Cigars and Sea Stories, Mike and Bennett together. Mike and Bennett, this is a little weird. Sit down with Dan Evans of Military Entrepreneur Show. Now, you can see this, you can listen to Military Entrepreneur Show, which I highly recommend that you do because he's got some super motivating trash on there, But you can check it out at danevansonline.com. That's danevansonline.com. Go ahead and subscribe, rate, and review to his podcast, Military Entrepreneur Show. And Dan, a fellow Marine, it is so good to have you on the show, man. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. Now, you're still active duty, are you not?
Yes, I am active duty. I'm actually traveling right now for work, and I'm staying in a fine Embassy Suites hotel with 100 count thread sheets. So it is amazing. I'm having an amazing time. And I would just be here by myself, but I'm glad you invited me on the show because now I can, talk with the brothers. So that's great.
Hell yes. No, glad to have you, man. What do you do in the Marine Corps?
Okay, so I'm a career recruiter. So I went from the infantry MOS in the reserves. I'd like to say that I half-assed it from the beginning. And I came in to the recruiting office. This was in 2005 to get some stickers, because I wanted to be motivated.
Right.
And you get the new car and you got to get a sticker. And the staff sergeant in there was like, "Hey, you should do this recruiting thing. You should try it out because back then they're pushing the numbers of the force of the Marine Corps up to 202,000 Marines, for the war."
And what year was this?
This was in 2005.
Oh, shit.
I went out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was right during the hit where they were pushing hard.
Yeah, so we got recruiters on the streets, doing their thing, and it was very, very challenging. They're working a lot of hours, so they're looking for volunteers. And I said, okay, I'll do this thing. And ended up doing 2 recruiter aid packages back to back, which are 180 days of active duty as a reservist. So I did about a year with a 2-week period in between. And when I got done with that, I applied to go to recruiter school. So I went to recruiter school and came back out and was a recruiter, and I hated it. I'm an introvert. I was, and for whatever reason, like the second you get that quota or mission letter, it changes your entire perspective. I had a great time the previous, 360 days as a rec aide, just kind of driving people around to MEPS and, ASVABing them and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, now you got to, put people in the Marine Corps and you're directly responsible for it. So I hated it at first and ended up, really learning a lot of things about myself, learning how to talk to people and becoming a communicator. I was just brutally honest with people to tell you to just put it out there. I was just like, boot camp sucks. You're going to hate it. I don't know if you're going to make it, dude. You look like a pansy. What's up with your hair? Just stuff like that. And, kids are like, well, you can't tell me that. I'm going to sign up. So I ended up being pretty good.
Yeah.
At recruiting. I accidentally got Recruiter of the Year. I say accidentally.
That's awesome.
I had no idea that I was even competitive.
Dude, I'm going to tell you, you know what's funny? My buddy, shout out to Staff Sergeant Ratty, who's out in Ohio right now. And Staff Sergeant Ratty just took Recruiter of the Year in his area, and he does the exact same thing. Hey, wouldn't you know it? A guy who's just brutal. Hey, listen. Well, the Army's going to give me $80,000. Plus, of course, I get to go to college. What's the Marine Corps going to give me? Not a fucking thing. You either want to be a Marine or you don't. It's one or the other. And, like, that dude's just turning mission, man. Because that's the hard, fast truth, right? I mean, is that how you would sell it as well? Or is it just... Right, okay.
Yes. You're just straight honest with people. You know, you sit down with parents. They're like, hey, does my kid have a chance at dying? You're like, yes, they do. It could happen.
It's always possible.
Because what are they going to do? They're going to Google it, and they're going to be like, wow, that recruiter lied to me if you tell them anything other than the truth. So the truth will set you free. And, for me, it worked. And, that's kind of been my philosophy. And that's kind of where how I've gotten to where I'm at. So
well, that's
the rest is history.
That really is. That's fantastic. That in and of itself, the brutal honesty is a value in and of itself, especially in that situation. And I only highlight that because we're kind of keen on adding value to the world here. And how many times have you heard of a recruiter, or that story? Not all recruiters are obviously bad. Come on now.
But you hear the stories about that guy.
Right. Oh, wait a minute. It was supposed to be infantry on the contract or open contract. See, I wish Jocelyn was on the microphone. Because originally he signed up as an 03XX. And then boot camp, he recounts the story better than I, but in boot camp, he was announced as open contract.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, whoa, wait a minute. This recruit's supposed to be infantry. And I think the DI was, he was a cook or something like that. I don't know. But he was not 03. And one of his drill instructors, who's a scout sniper, comes like tearing ass across the squad bed. Like, whoa, wait a minute. Hold on. Time out. This recruit wants to go hook and jab, slice and stab. Like, why would you deny a guy the ability to go 03? No, open contract. He would have been, he would have been anything. It's open contract. Needs in the Marine Corps at that point. But Jesus, luckily... Or, I guess, depending on how you look at it, maybe unluckily, he wanted
him, his other drill instructor wanted him to be a cook. He's like, no, you're totally going to be a cook.
Right. Right, you're fucked. You're stirring chow.
Somebody's got to do it,
Oh, dude, I love cooks.
You're making spaghetti in the mess hall there, Marine.
Right.
That's it.
Dude, and I don't say that facetiously. Like, God's honest truth, I fucking love me a cook. That motherfucker was heating up hot chow, right, while I was on post or something like that. I'm totally cool with that trade-off. You hook up... Yes, thank you. I have been thinking about this for the past 6 hours, right? You know what I mean? How many dips did I have in the lip and how many... Well, you can't smoke on post, but you know what I mean. I mean, God's honest truth, I'd hug a cook right now.
Oh, wow. So, Dan, where do you live?
So I live in San Diego. I ended up getting into social media on recruiting and using that as a tool to get in touch with our prospective market, and I was pretty good at it. And our boss for the western side of the U.S., a colonel, he invited me out to do this for the West Coast. So I do that along with recruiting training and stuff like that now. So that's where I'm at.
That is crazy. And I'm sorry, what's your rank again?
Gunnery Sergeant.
Gunnery Sergeant. Dude, that's my favorite rank.
He's a gunny.
That's why it's my favorite rank. Because you can call a Gunnery Sergeant a Gunnery Sergeant, and it's respectful as fuck. And you can call him a gunny, or some guys are cool with guns.
Guns.
I'm cool with all of it. And and I'm also cool with Dan.
Right?
I'm totally cool with that as well.
I tried getting away with that. They didn't.
And that's the thing, man. Is like everybody knows what a gunny is. Like you say, hey, I was a gunny. I served as a gunnery sergeant. That resonates with people because of Full Metal Jacket. Shout out to them. but nobody knows what a master sergeant is, or some people may know what a first sergeant is, or a sergeant major, or definitely nobody knows what a master gunnery sergeant is.
Right.
Just like the civilian population.
Right.
But you're like, hey, I was a gunny. They're like, man, you must be a big deal. So, I'm cool with that.
Right.
Yeah, I think I'm good to just stay right here. I'm happy with that.
2 words.
So how close are we to retirement?
I'm actually not retiring. I am going to just separate after. Let's see, I hit 12 years November 2nd of this year.
Okay, gotcha. So you're just gonna get out.
Yeah, I'm getting out.
All right. Any reasons why, or is it just enough?
There's a lot of reasons. Number one being opportunity. Actually, I take that back. Number one being my family. There's just been so many situations where you have to choose between the Corps and family, and really, it's not a choice. It's like, hey, you're gonna do this, and you're gonna be gone for this long. For the first bit of my career when I was on recruiting duty, I worked up the street, but barely saw my family.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You get home late at night. Your kids are already in bed. You leave before they're awake. I missed a lot of their childhood. I missed a lot of their birthdays, just the things that you should be able to take advantage of. But I don't want to do that for another 8 years to be eligible for a $1,800 a month retirement. It just doesn't resonate.
Sure.
Doesn't add up, right?
Yeah,
Well, and it doesn't add up, especially because, if you're on here like, hoorah, yut, semper, drank the Kool-Aid, this is what I'm doing, and you're super, super passionate still, you know what I mean, about it, the way that all of us are at some point in time. I don't give a shit who you are. If you're a Marine at some point in time, you were a motard. Like, you just didn't realize that you're a motard, which is totally cool. You got to have those guys, because they're still in right now.
Absolutely.
So if you're,
God
because,
bless 'em.
oh, absolutely. Well, that was one of the things that I told a lot of the other guys before I left the Corps, and just hung it up, is I was like, you know what, man, I really hate saying this, but honestly, my heart's just not 100% into it. And if your heart's not 100% into it and you're at the patrol leader, platoon sergeant level, you're going to get people killed, in the infantry community. So your heart's not into it and you're just going to do it and kind of schlump along like Jesus, man. Kind of flirting with disaster at that point. That was, I don't know about you guys, but that was not both of you, but Bennett, you got out twice.
Yeah. Yep. And it's the same kind of thing, though. Like, I got out, just like Dan was saying. It was, we got back from Egypt in 2003. It was like February or March of 2003. And, not 2003, sorry, 2002. And we were basically, in essence, turning right around, and like 16, 18 months later, my unit was deploying to Afghanistan, and we knew it as soon as we had our boots on the ground back at Fort Drum. This is when I was in the Army, obviously. But I had about a year and a few months of really like analyzing, man, is this worth it? Like, I had met, my wife shortly after I returned, and it was like, if I go over there, I'm going to die. That's just because that's how I was. And I was like, you know what? This is not worth it. And I was able to slip out. So I took my leave gracefully, sort of. But,
Right.
it's the same kind of thing. I totally understand where you're coming from. There's just a point when, at that point for me, it was I wanted to start my life. I already had a daughter, but I wanted to start my life, with a wonderful woman that I had met. And but now I get it, especially like you kind of look back and you can't get that time back. And it's, it sucks a little bit. So, but you have what, 3 kids?
I've got 3 kids, yeah.
What's the dispersion? What's the makeup?
So I've got a 9-year-old, a 7-year-old. My oldest is a daughter, so I've got a lot of guns.
Oh,
Thank
man.
goodness.
Hell
And-
yes.
I
got a
one
one
of
in-
daughters.
I got a 1.5-year-old son who's just awesome, and they really keep me going. That and my wife. So
Snap, dog. We got to schedule play dates. 9-7-2. Let's do this.
yeah,
Yeah, mine are 20, 10, 9, and 7, but they're all girls.
nice.
They're
Yeah,
pretty
I don't know
good.
if nice is the word, but they're fantastic. But it's the infantryman's karma. It's the curse of the infantryman.
It so is. I know so many guys that have all girls that
It's scary.
We're in the infantry.
They're probably all East Coast guys too.
yeah.
Yeah, we've been
It
doing
must
a
have-
poll. I want you to
Yeah.
know this is where it comes from. Dude, I'm telling you right now, though, there was something going on. I can't remember what it was, and I don't want to smear the core by any means, but wasn't there something going on about the water in Lejeune over there?
Oh no, there is. There's all kinds of. I think it's lead or something like that. But there's ongoing and testing, and the VA is involved, and guys are kind of messed up. So I don't know, man. I guess it could be something in the water, literally.
Well, if the VA is involved, I'm sure that it's entirely messed up. So
Yeah.
it'll be good.
Probably.
They'll get to that like 2017. We'll be good.
Right.
But,
But
set.
yeah.
Oh dear God.
Yeah, actually, I'm perusing your Facebook page right now, Dan, and I see you at the latest Marine Corps ball there at some casino in California.
Yeah.
Looking mighty dapper in your blues,
Oh, thank you, sir.
and that's your beautiful wife, I see.
Yeah.
How long have you been married?
So we got married in 2005. So we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary.
Good
That's
for
awesome.
you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hell yes. Good for you. Yeah, man. I tell you what, it's one of those things. It's it's a difficult journey. You know,
It definitely is.
it is.
Yeah.
It's one of those things.
But you gotta hand it to the women, man. The spouses that put up with
Oh, God.
with this. 10 years of this. Like I've been gone. I'm traveling usually an average of 1 to 2 weeks a month, and my wife, she's taking care of 3 kids pretty much by herself. We don't live in base housing. I just won't do it.
Right.
So she's on her own. And she does a phenomenal job doing that. She doesn't work. That's important for her to take care of the kids, and she does a great job. So,
Right there with you.
Yeah.
Because my wife doesn't work either, and it's basically because we don't want. It's just a choice that we made. It hurts financially, but at the end of the day, I think it's better.
oh yeah, I can't imagine sending my kids off to like a daycare or something like that. It doesn't work. It doesn't. I will work my butt off. I will work 3 jobs if I have to make that happen, so she can be with them and take care of them. That's just what's important for us, and it's important for a lot of guys. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
Good stuff.
Hey, I'm sorry. You said where'd you deploy to?
I haven't deployed at all, so
No. But I thought that you had said. Yeah, I apologize, terminology wise. But where'd you go overseas? Didn't you say that you went overseas?
I've been to Japan. I did some training out there, but
Right,
nothing too
okay.
crazy.
Well,
I was at Fuji. I climbed the mountain. I was excited.
That's pretty
that's
cool.
what I'm looking for. Hey, look at that. We pulled it. Did you see there? Did you see the tease that was coming through? He
we
mentioned
go.
this in a previous conversation. Like, this motherfucker climbed Fuji, didn't he? Yeah, all
Yeah,
right. Let's see if
got
we
a
can-
picture
yeah.
and everything.
Yeah, hell yes. There you go. The air. It's thin up there. Dude, that's crazy.
So what was that like, though?
Going to Japan, it was a good time. I did not want to go there at first, but I ended up having a great time over there. It was a lot of fun. I would not try the sushi. I ate at McDonald's when we went to Tokyo. Some of the guys that I was with, got diarrhea. They just weren't really used to the
Ooh, man.
raw meats. It was a lot. It was a lot of fun, and I was single back then. Didn't do anything like too crazy. It's just not really me. But some of the guys I was with, they definitely drank their weight in liquor and threw it up right after.
Pretty much par for the course.
I was there to be a buddy and firemen carry them to the bus, so it was good.
There you go. So you're like the designated driver without the actual driving.
Yes.
You can always point that guy out in the lineup because he's got puke going down the back side of his shirt for his fireman carrying somebody home.
That's horrible.
Not a big deal.
So tell us some more about yourself, Dan.
Well,
where did you join the Marine Corps?
I joined out of Utah. Went to San Diego, the recruit depot in San Diego. I was like general population. I didn't graduate as a guide or an honor man or anything like that. I just kind of tucked racks and did my thing. I came back to Utah after the School of Infantry. Did my thing there and worked as a manager of a personal training company and had a side business cleaning windows. I actually had a crew, and the crew didn't come initially, but once I earned enough money, I bought a van and hired a crew. I actually hired poolies that were getting ready to go to boot camp. I went down to the recruiting office, and these kids needed jobs, to just to have money. And I was paying them, $10-12 an hour to clean windows. And we had some apartment complexes, and eventually when I got back from recruiter school, I had to sell that business off because there was just no time, extra time to do both. And I was kind of sad about that, but at the same time, I was glad to not have those extra stressors at that point in time. It was a great learning experience. I made a lot of mistakes with that business, but the entrepreneurial hustle, all that stuff, like I feel like I naturally migrated my way to the business side of the Marine Corps, as weird as that is. That's super weird, I know.
Well, it's just unique.
There's no way I would have ever picked up Gunny like in the 03 MOS. There's just
no, right.
There's just no way. Work ethic wise, maybe I would have worked super hard and gotten it, but I've been blessed and fortunate to be in these spots. There's guys that I've trained as recruiters that have come out and been like, man, send me back to Afghanistan. I don't want to do this shit.
Right.
But it's been good. It's a lot of it's. I've learned a lot of things about myself, and I've been able to help a lot of people, and that's really been rewarding. Every Marine that graduates across that parade deck is there because of a recruiter who invested in them, and it takes a load of hours, man. Just getting you ready, the background checks, and we invest a lot of time, and part of that is because of inefficient processes, but it's worth it when they come across and shake your hand and say, hey, thanks for everything.
Right.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Yeah, we got the chance to talk to a whole bunch of poolies up in Michigan. About a month ago? Is that right?
Around
Mike?
that.
Yeah.
Jesus, time flies.
God knows.
Yeah, because that was when we went up there with Joe Trainer, one pet, one vet, for the Red Wings game. God, that was a good time. Hell yes. Yeah, man.
But we got to talk to a whole bunch of poolies and try and guide some young minds and mold them a little bit as much as we could in the short little time. But yeah, man, I remember being that guy and just being so stupid. And I was so stupid. I went in open contract. Like that was like by choice because I couldn't make a choice. So I was like, I don't really care. I'm like, if I go in on open contract, what am I going to be? An infantryman or a cook? And I was cool with either one of those because I like to cook and I like to shoot stuff. So I was like, okay, so how bad could it be? Turns out I was infantry, but yeah, kind of funny.
Oh, hell yeah.
Well, hey, thank goodness, right?
Right.
Shoot guns.
So I like how you bring that up with the entrepreneurial hustle. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I hear that more and more, how everyone calls it the entrepreneurial hustle. And that's pretty cool. So it looks like you were doing that way back. So you've really been in the entrepreneurial game for a while.
Yeah, it's just something that's always interested me. When I was 13, I moved to Alpine, Utah. It's a very it was a very affluent neighborhood, and my parents, they had money, but they did not share it with me.
Right.
And they taught me a lot of lessons through not giving me stuff. And in order to be competitive in the neighborhood and wear like nice clothes like everybody else, and not wear like, just whatever, you got to earn money and buy that clothes. I had to earn my own cash. So I did like a soda stand where, like, I'd park a table in front of my house and sell sodas to construction workers and stuff like that, because it was a new development. And I would buy like these little like houses in the holiday season, like those little what do you call them, like little, like the train sets go around. What are those things called?
The miniatures.
Yeah, the miniature little house things. And I would go door to door, knocking doors and selling those things. And when I was turned 16, I remember I'm like, finally, I can go get a real job. And I went and got a job at this place called the Pizza Station. And dude, that lasted like 2 weeks. I'm like, this sucks. I got my check and it was like $50. I'm like, dude, I spent my entire week here and I only earned $50. Like, this is criminal.
It's like rolling out at like $4.15 an hour.
Yeah, it was awful. I was like, man, this is crappy. So at that point, I have you seen those like address numbers that people paint on curbs, like the white background with the black numbers?
Yeah.
So I would go door to door and I had this pitch, and it's something to do with like, it's for emergency vehicles, so they can find your house in an emergency. It's $10. It just takes a couple of minutes. Can we do this? And they're like, yeah, sure. And I would make like $100, $120 in a matter of a couple hours. And that was really like my lesson on entrepreneurship right there. It's like, I can make 2 weeks worth of wages in 2 to 3 hours. Or I could go and work at the pizza station, spend my own gas delivering pizza that I was not being reimbursed for, and basically lose money. Like, when you do the math, I'm making like 50 cents at the end of the week. Or paint the addresses on curbs, and pitch and get better. And I, like I said before, I'm an introvert, man. Like, this is something that I struggled with, and I constantly been working on. Ever since I was young, and really it's paid off in a lot of ways. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy. I know, it's super weird. I'm telling a lot about myself here. I don't even think I've had these conversations with my wife. So I'll tell her to listen to Cigars and Sea Stories.
Well, all I know is that, this is what happens when you get with fellow veterans and fellow Marines. It just kind of opens it up.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's because we're supposed to be there for each other. That's what it's all about, right?
That is, man.
It's interesting because I had to have somebody else tell these stories to me about me, meaning in an entrepreneurial way. And I'll tell you what I'm getting. When I was coming out of the Corps, I was thinking about, do I really have it in me? Is this what I want to do? So on. Struggling with the notion of, do I take that leap of faith? And I worked at Best Buy. I loved working at Best Buy, to be honest with you. It was a good, flexible job for the most part. But it wasn't the passion. It wasn't what I was, what I wanted to do and all of this other stuff. My old man was like, Mike, do you remember that red wagon that you had in the garage? And I was like, yeah, absolutely, of course. The Radio Flyer or whatever.
Yeah, the Radio Flyer.
Absolutely. I mean, I had the legit wagon, right? And he was like, dude, do you remember how you used to go door to door? And I'm like, yeah, selling mom's cookie. Oh, yeah. And it just kind of like clicked. Like, dude, you were like 7 years old selling your mom's cookies. And I was actually making money at it. Like, the neighbors were like, fuck yes. I'll pay for Mrs. Penny's cookies. Hell yes. Which I thought it was a euphemism at the time. But anyway, no, I didn't. I was like 7. But no joke, up and down the street, that's exactly what I would do. And it was $1 for 3 cookies, in like a Ziploc bag or something like that. I mean, gee, talk about laissez-faire. Am I right? I mean, there's, there ain't no taxes being collected on that one. You're making cash. I'm pretty sure that the nutritional facts were not on the back of them cookies. So, but the point is though, that was something that the interest was spurned in youth. And it's like, yeah, you almost have to be, you almost have to be reminded of that. I mean, that's one of the things that I'm blessed with is my folks' wisdom and the ability to convey that across, so.
It's also in your genes, considering your mom and your dad, they both kind of have the itch, the entrepreneurial hustle going on within themselves.
Right.
So I'm sure that definitely came out on you too.
Do your parents, Dan, are your parents entrepreneurial?
No, not really. Well, I grew up with my grandparents, and my grandpa had his own business, and that was cool. He was doing his thing, making good money. We never went without, but I didn't really understand what he was doing until like my 20s.
Right.
It didn't really click.
Well,
I'm like, oh, he's a business owner.
Because like you said, nobody shared it with you, so.
Yeah, but we always had food. We had a nice house, and I had a nice bed. We never went without.
Right. I got you.
So
what's going to happen when we decide to leave the Corps? What's ahead? What do we have to look forward to seeing you doing?
So at this point, like, I have been developing my social media skills. Like I mentioned before, I got into that in recruiting and had the opportunity to build out this massive social media infrastructure and train recruiters how to use social media to sell the Marine Corps. I train them as brand advocates, so they're creating content on a massive, massive scale, across the Western United States. And I see a need for that in business. So I've had quite a few people reach out to me on my website recently, which has kind of changed my perspective. Like, the initial thought is like, should I go into like a corporate environment and maybe work as a consultant in a corporate environment? Maybe I should do that. But I've had some leads come in, and that's given me the opportunity to put together some proposals. Mm-hmm. And people are willing to pay when you do good work.
Absolutely.
So I'm like, it's going to be this much, and they're like, okay, sounds good. Let's do it.
And you're like, no, really.
Yeah. So,
no, it's going to be this much.
So more people will pay for things of value. If you're creating a social media structure, a marketing plan that is going to bring in massive amounts of revenue, like high ticket items like real estate or insurance or whatever it is, you can charge, you name the price, because the traditional methods of reaching your market, telephone calls, print, TV, is okay if you can get, any spot for a decent price that's in prime time, but that's very expensive. Those things are for the most part diminishing. People are looking at their phones in between television commercials and that type of thing. So I really see a need for that in the market today. And I've kind of just, as of late, had the epiphany that maybe I should do some consulting on my own, but we'll see. We'll see where it goes. So in the meantime, like, I've been, doing the podcast, interviewing successful veteran entrepreneurs who have gone out and really done some great things, putting a ding in the universe. And for me, that was kind of the plan all along. Is like, these people have networks. They have networks. So I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to give some value by, making a short little clip about their service and, what they're up to now. And they can inspire people without really having to do anything, because I'm going to do the work. I'm going to create the product around that. And people have seen that and found me and reached out to me, and a lot of these vets know people, and they want to help any way they can. So really, it's up in the air at this point, but we'll see. I've got to fight the inner demons of entrepreneurship, which I really believe that if I don't do that, I'm just the itch is never going to go away.
Absolutely.
But
once you crack that open, it's like there's no coming back.
Yeah, and I felt that before. Like, I can put myself in the mindset of when I was collecting $5,000 checks to clean windows in an apartment complex that we knocked out in like a day, and my overhead costs were very minimal in comparison to that $5,000 check.
Right.
And that is just a rush, man. Like, you're just getting that check, and you're like, dude, I did this. Like,
did this really happen just now?
Yeah. It's so awesome. And I feel like, that's the direction I need to go, but I'm prepared on either side, I think.
Gotcha.
That didn't answer your question, but.
Yeah. No, it did. It's good.
Well, it's
it's because you're kind of still just wading through it, man. You're still trying to figure it out, which is, it's what happens. But I know you'll figure it out. It's just what we do, We adapt and overcome.
But networking, man, that's the thing. You just got to network. You got to talk to people, and that's what I've been doing. I'm like, hey, tell me about what it's like to work at this place, and people tell me, like, definitely don't want to do that, or that's
right.
That seems interesting. I really don't see myself as like a 9-to-5 kind of guy, and I think that's why I did so well on recruiting duty, is because it's kind of like make your own hours. Big boys play like big boy rules. You show up at the office and you leave when the work's done.
Right.
So in most cases, 6 out of 7 days of the week, it was long days, 7:30 in the morning until sometimes midnight. But we did that, and I was okay with that because I felt like I had a purpose, and what I was doing was making an impact. And that's what I want to do now. I'm not afraid of hard work. It's not about doing less work per se. It's about feeling like I've got a purpose.
Right.
Well, that makes sense. Absolutely. It's about being useful.
Yeah.
No.
Can't be sad if you're being useful.
Yeah.
It's funny, though, because Dan and I, we had talked prior to this, obviously, and it's one of these things to where I enjoy reaching out, especially to other veterans in podcasting or other veteran-led businesses, and just being like, hey, we're an adjacent unit. How can we support each other on this? Or get back to me if you need any help or something like that. Dan reciprocated, but then went one step further and brought us into the fold as far as military entrepreneurs on the Facebook page.
Right.
And being able to shine the light on that as far as listeners is concerned. We have 68 members on there right now, just at last glance, I believe. Can you tell us a little bit more as far as the vision on this Facebook group as well, that you're looking to enhance the marketplace overall?
Yeah, so I've talked to so many service members and veterans that are like, man, I want to do my own business, and this is what I want to do. And you can refer them to your website and that type of thing. But the reality is most of them are listening to like some of the other good podcasts out there that are done by our fellow brothers, like Commander Business or Cigars and Sea Stories, or they're listening to Veteran on the Move or Pop Smoke, whatever it is, my show. So I reached out to all these podcasters that are entrepreneurial minded, business minded, that are we're all trying to make a difference. And I'm like, hey, let's build this community, because I've kind of noticed my own behavior with podcasts. I'll listen to a few episodes of one podcast, and then I'll bounce around to another one. But really, there's been no like collective genre of military entrepreneurship type podcasts. So I created this group on Facebook. I figured, well, our audience is there. Why don't we get where they're at rather than ask them to join some community that's on another website? And then we'll take all of our content that we're creating, like these interviews that we're doing with these great people that are just awesome, great vets doing awesome things, and share it into the group. And that way it can be a constant like flow of just inspiration to help them in their journey of either transitioning out or starting a business. Because I think collectively we've got 68 people in that group. It's been open for what, like a month or month?
Yeah, not very long.
A little over a month, yeah.
Not very long. It's just going to continue to grow, and somebody in that group knows somebody. So anytime you have a question, you go in that group. This is kind of my vision, my thought process is, we can ask questions. We can better meet the needs of the entrepreneur veteran community.
Right.
And refer people. And so far, so good, man. There's been some great stuff that's been shared in there by people that are not necessarily even podcasters.
Oh, absolutely. Cigars and Sea Stories is proud to support and sling Counter-Strike Coffee. Counter-Strike Coffee, I want you to know, is meant to be drink black. Now, I myself love coffee. I'm a big coffee drinker. I went away from black coffee for a little while. Needed the cream and sugar when I was rocking it with the generic blend. Counter-Strike Coffee brought me back into the fold in a huge, huge way. They do a great dark roast. I'm a big fan of napalm. That's my fave. Smooth operator is good, though. It can go with cakes and pies, and I got a bit of a sweet tooth. I know a couple of us do, And then also Firewatch. Firewatch, that's going to be the kick in the ass that you need in order to get your day going the right way. You know what I'm saying? If you haven't already done so, check out counterstrikecoffee.com. Use promo code CIGARSANDSEA. You will get 10% off. Again, that's counterstrikecoffee.com. Use promo code CIGARSANDSEA to get yourself 10% off. What I really like about it is that it's almost like a large mastermind group of veterans in entrepreneurship. From a cross-section of different industries that are going to come in there and share a little bit of knowledge or even better, a little bit of wisdom. But that's what's so cool about this. That's what's so great about the concept is a lot of people, especially veterans, and I'm guilty of this myself, are not really big fans of social media because of all the horror stories that you hear, about everybody who's like, they'll say an off-the-cuff comment on Twitter, wake up somewhere and like their world fell apart or something like that. A lot of people don't necessarily see how they can use social media as a tool, especially within the entrepreneurial realm, and how we can use it almost as a I like to think of it as like a sipper or a nipper. Are you guys familiar with that? You know what I mean? Yes. Our back channel net that we had when we were like overseas and stuff. It's almost like that just because people don't know what the fuck we're talking about already. I don't mind using military analogies on there by any means and, saying that we need to have interlocking fields of fire. That's totally cool. And it makes sense and I feel comfortable talking in those terms. Dude, I bring this up pointedly because I was at a networking event earlier tonight and it was civilian. I think I was one of 3 veterans there out of, 100 people or something like that. And I was just like, I understand what these folks are talking about because I can speak their lingo now. But this is a really fucking weird conversation. I don't know. It didn't have that familiar feel that I've already gotten in that little Facebook group, and so that's kind of the other collaborative power that we have here, the empowerment that we're offering too, and I say that also kind of with a wink and a nod, Dan, because you're talking about doing consulting work. Facebook is talking about getting veterans into social media in a huge way. And they have a number of different programs that they've gone to the hill with, as far as what my inside sources are telling me. So, I mean, like, dude, you're poised for greatness right now if you can come out and show me what the fuck I'm doing with buffer. So, which I enjoy buffer, don't get me wrong, but if it's like, Mike, you're posting the same shit across all your group, like, what are you doing, Boot? It's like, dude, I have
no idea.
Fucking know.
I just scheduled it. Don't blame me.
Right.
I didn't know it was gonna go there.
Right. Hashtag this boot don't know.
This boat don't know, baby.
So I mean, come on out and do the feng shui with the social media guru. I guarantee there are going to be guys who are chomping at the bit. But,
Absolutely.
I got to tell you, though, man, I've been looking around at webinars and all sorts of different stuff. These delivery mechanisms that we have, they're good delivery mechanisms, but we've got to be able to spice them up and throw in the intrigue that we had even when we were going through. Like the Prac app was something that I always looked forward to. And maybe I'm a fucking dork because I'm an instructor and I came from that realm. But when I was going through courses as an instructor and now I knew the template, right? You learn goal mess, you know a transition's coming. He gets through a few body topics. Cool. He's putting a bow on it. We're going out for Prac app, and I get to, like, at minimum, snap in. I get hands on the weapon system or something like that. That's when learning occurs. That's when the light bulb moment happens. Or maybe in some shooters' cases, a little bit later on downrange when they actually ding, hit black, shoot steel, whatever it winds up being. But that light bulb moment when it occurs is just priceless. So if we can throw in different practical application, and we did it. We did it with Mary Louise. I love her. God bless her. Mary Louise is out there right now. I hope she has a smile on her face. But she helped us with marketing and messaging, and we immediately applied exactly what she told us to do. And she was blown away by this. And I'm like, why?
And we're still trying to do it right.
Right. Don't get me wrong. I still have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. But I'm heeding her advice. And that is the other power that a lot of us have as veterans as well. Like, I trust you, Dan. If you're going to tell me what to do with social media, I'm probably going to do it.
Yeah, that's interesting you bring that up because yesterday somebody reached out to my site. It's a Navy guy that is over in Australia right now working on his master's degree. He's an enlisted guy, so he's cool. He's not on the dark side.
Right, there it is.
Yeah, he got out and he's reaching out to me, and I guess they're working on a project where he's going to turn those giant what do you call it? Those giant metal crates that go on trains. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the Connex boxes.
Yeah, Connex boxes into houses.
Yeah, man, we talk about that all the time.
Yeah,
Shit, yes.
He reaches out to me.
Containers.
He's like, he's like, I trust you. I've called a few marketing agencies, and these assholes are trying to charge me like so much money. Like, I don't even know what I'm going to get. Because, there are a lot of shady people out there that will take your money and just straight up rip you off. Doing business in the past when I had my window cleaning company, I was duped by Valpak, those little coupon mailers. You're going to get this massive return on investment. I don't think I ever used one of those coupons or accepted one of those coupons on the back end. I spent a lot of money to do that. Right. So, he reaches out to me because that level of trust is there. So, I think we're on to something to put all these like minds together in one place, and it's really just separating, or it's reducing those 6 degrees of separation down to like 1 or 2.
Absolutely.
And that's important.
Well, it's a huge thing because once again, it's the whole reason Cigars and Sea Stories, basically, it's our whole mission is to highlight other Marines and veterans adding value to the world, no matter how that is, adding value in some form or fashion. And I've said this, and I'm going to sound like a broken record again. Today, it's like today, I had a buddy of mine call me because I have a nonprofit that I'm starting to stand up. Me and actually our other team member Tim, that we're starting to stand up. And you know, I have a pretty successful. I would look at it as a pretty successful Facebook site for that. You know, I'm creeping up. We're closing in on 1,000 likes, and I haven't really, we haven't even really started doing anything yet, and we're just kind of pushing it out there, right? Well, I have a guy call me because literally I promote daily, probably 3 to 4 different charities or businesses on that site alone daily, and people are like, dude, what are you doing? You're crazy. And I'm like, well, listen, man, you're a veteran. I was like, don't you get it? That the only way that we're going to succeed is by helping each other out and pushing each other along and helping us on the run where the dude's falling out. And, you know, come on, man, you know, let's go. Let's get this done. You know, I'll grab your pack. You know, let's go. Let's get you back up in formation. I just don't understand, you know, that I find a lot of guys, and I thought it was mainly in the civilian world, but I find a lot of guys lately, especially, that are kind of, they don't really get it. But I think they're starting to get that if we do this together, we're an unstoppable force that will take this whole thing back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Period. Straight up.
It's so strange, man, how our spirits align and we all come together when we're rocking that uniform. And then for some goddamn reason, when we walk away. Right. Well, what the hell is that? Like, I get it, though. Don't get me wrong. I totally drop my pack in the sense of, like, I don't do humps on fucking Fridays. I don't field day every Thursday. Like, I don't do that shit anymore.
But why would you turn your back on the brotherhood?
Right.
That's been created because you're sick of it or something. You whatever. I don't understand. And then you hear about all these guys that have issues, and at the end of the day, when they turn around and open their arms back to their brothers, guess what? All is well.
Yep.
And there's nothing different about this veteran entrepreneurship. You know, we all complain about, you know, the banks, this, or we can't find funding for this, or we can't do this. It's because we have to create it ourselves.
Right.
Nobody's going to give it to us. They didn't do it back in the day. They're not going to do it now. But how is it that 49% of World War II veterans came back and either owned or operated their own companies?
And it was the most prosperous time in our nation's history.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. You know, and really, we can do a lot together. You know, there's that stupid acronym, team. Together, everybody achieves more. But it's so applicable in this case.
Oh, absolutely.
When we work as a team, everybody rises together.
So true.
You can't do it alone. You know, it's not the 4-hour work week, dude. You know, I've read that book. I think it's fantastic. But if you really reverse engineer the psychology of everything that he's done, dude, he's working with other people.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, he's leveraging the power of other people.
Yeah.
Who in turn end up leveraging him. It's symbiotic. Period.
It is. Yep.
Well, it's synergy at its utmost is what it is. It's honing in on that. You know, like I love networking. I love business development as a whole. My biggest charge is where you can get 3 people to make a connection. 2 people, that's awesome. 3 people, you usually have action. You know, that's just my experience because you have the ability to triangulate a problem. That's the way that I honestly view it. You have 3 different points of view. You can triangulate your problem. And once you do that, you're just more prone to getting better brainstorming. You know, 2 people disagree. The third can moderate later on as the partnership starts to form or something along those lines. And then you grow into a fire team reinforced, so on. You know, and literally you can use military analogies for all of these different things out in the business world. I mean, I honestly believe that we somehow were bestowed a superpower in our ability to plan, delegate, and act. Just in just that. I mean, how many times in my civilian job, and I'm not trying to talk shit on any of the Best Buy workers that I was with, there were just times where they needed just to be told something. And you know what? There are times where anybody in the Marine Corps needs to just be told. You need to learn how to follow before you can learn how to lead. But the problem is like E1 through E3, I was taught not necessarily how to think for myself, don't get me wrong, but I've got a few different play cards that I can go through. If there needs to be an audible while we're like shooting, moving, communicating, I can do that. And we play tactical decision games in order to make that happen. That doesn't happen in the civilian world. It just doesn't happen. They don't do it, you know? And with that rigorous preparation, we also have the ability to identify opportunity and just, bam, strike while the iron's hot. And if we can carry that similar like passion, motivation, inspiration, spiritual alignment, all of these other different things, and carry out a vision, like Cigars and Sea Stories, that ain't my vision. That's ours. Like Bennett and I were smoking stogies in Atlanta, and he was like, we should make a podcast. And I was like, yeah, we should call it Cigars and Sea Stories. And then it just kind of evolved from there. You know, and if we can come together and collaborate on different things like that, and then grow each other's other businesses off of that. Hey, man, what's up? You know, you seem more prone to work in the operations side. Need an executive officer? You know, or something along those lines. I mean, we just need to be comfortable in carrying over what we learned in the military into the business realm. It really, really does translate. And I mean, our branch has 240 years of honing and defining these planning and execution processes. Why are we not using them? Why? Because it's cheesy? Is that really what it is? Am I a motard for using 5-paragraph order to start a business?
Right. No. I actually just got done recording a podcast. The guys over at Cause Engine, where they link nonprofits with talent that's passionate about working with that nonprofit. Brilliant idea. It's like an Uber strategy. They don't
How do you spell that?
Cause Engine, just like 2 words, Cause Engine.
Oh, Cause.
He said the same thing. James Brobin, great guy. I'll make an introduction for you. This dude, man, you know, he said the same thing. It's like, it's a 5-paragraph order. You know, we're writing out the business plan. Here's how we're going to execute. I mean, it's really just, it's very simple. And it really, these talents, these strategies are not common in the civilian side of the house. And that's evident. That's very evident. You know, you see that 96 or something, some crazy amount of startups fail because they got the cart in front of the horse most of the time because they didn't produce a plan. And it starts there.
Well, and the other thing too is, and it's paralysis by analysis, right? They got past their 80% solution, tried putting perfectionism into the mix, you know, and then they walked down range and that first bullet whizzed past their ear and they were like, oh shit, you know, what do we do? There is no pivot. We're just going to turn in circles and like spray and pray. You know what I mean? Like literally that's what I picture.
Just hammer it out with a shotgun.
Right, exactly. You know, and a lot of the times what I look at, you know, and I'm not saying I'm God's gift by any means, but in the patrol leader, in the past life, right, not in the entrepreneur side of things, I did a pretty damn good job at it. You know, I can honestly say, as a point of pride, I didn't get anybody killed. And that's something to say when you've been a patrol leader in Iraq and Afghanistan, or in Ramadi and in Kajaki or Sangin. So to be able to take the principles that worked, and I only say that because, well, the 5-paragraph order works then. It's past proof of concept. That's all that I'm trying to say. Not whether or not Mike could fucking do it, but just the ability to take this idiot, right? You know what I mean? This knucklehead from Michigan and turn him into a Marine and then say, hey, by the way, Jarhead, here's the stuff that you're going to need when you're downrange, you know, instill confidence, all of these other different things. Yes, that came along with walking, or towing the line of being a Marine. But really, if you just accept the notion of the 5-paragraph order, and I don't want to use it just as simple as that, there are a lot of other planning processes, the Frago, the Warno, the MET-T, if you've got to do some sort of analysis in depth or not, it gives you the play cards that you can just kind of keep in your hip pocket. I'm using all these goddamn moto things. If Tim was here saying dig every 5 minutes, we would have a legit Marine Corps podcast right now. But no, man, I'm telling you, you can never be too cool to kick an order and make sure everybody is on the same page. It's not dorky. You know what I mean? There are people who believe that shit, man. There are people I'm not going to roll outside the wire on a Frago. Like, fuck you, sir. That shit ain't happening. Where's my 5-paragraph order? You know what I mean? I've done that before. Like, no joke. It was to an Army officer. Ooh, that was so bad. I feel terrible. but not really. But yeah, dude, I'm telling you. I mean, it's like, Bennett, have you ever linked up with an adjacent unit? Let's say, for instance, you go over to their patrol base or something like that. This happened all the time. Like in Sagan especially, we would walk over to an adjacent unit's patrol base, and then I would go and give their, whoever their leadership, a quick frago on what we are doing. 9 times out of 10, they were bored by the fact that we would give them that quick frago. But they were really happy that we did it because we were going to be operating in their area. It took 5 minutes. It was in and out. You want to know something else? They saw our face, and we didn't just walk by and wave at them. They were probably more apt to give us better machine gun fire. You know what I mean? Or something like absolutely. That. I mean, we built a little rapport. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine if Dan shows up in an apartment complex where there's already another window washer, but he cannot possibly make demand. Right? He walks up and goes, "Hey man, what's up? What are you already working on?" and stuff like that. I don't want to be in your shit. I want to go over here. I want to do whatever. Courtesy, respect. Little things that were taught to it, like JJ did tie buckle shit. Like,
it's weird that you bring that example up because I'm just recalling an experience where I linked up with another guy doing the same business, and he wasn't able to fulfill all the business. So he was referring those contracts that he couldn't do to me. He was putting money in my pocket because he didn't have the time to do it. So just by taking that initial time to build the relationship, that earned money.
That's awesome.
So, there's oceans of connections and business out there. It's really about working together and just kind of just letting the person to your left and your right know that you're there and what you're working on. Kind of like what you said in your example. And might be able to help you out.
Absolutely.
Hell yes. Dude, I love it.
I'm walking away from this better tonight.
Right. There you go.
There you go, man. That's awesome.
Untarnished.
Value added.
There we go.
Hell yes, dude. I'm telling you, mission accomplished on that one. That's fantastic. Well, keep doing what you're doing with military entrepreneurs, man. The Military Entrepreneurs Show, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, I want to make sure. And it's at danevansonline.com.
Yep.
danevansonline.com. He's a gunnery sergeant, still on active duty, getting out after 12 years. Crazy SOB, hopping out there. Dude, I'm gonna tell you, I hope you go into social media consulting because, we'll see where we can go on this.
Because we need you.
And that's coming from our social media guy.
I'm happy to help any way I can.
I love it.
Oh, dude, this is so cool.
Hey, when you're back out east, give me a holler. I know that we weren't able to link up last time, but We'll make it happen. We'll go over some stuff.
Okay, yeah, let's do it for sure.
Yeah,
Yep.
man, and he's in Delaware. I would tell you where, but it takes 40 minutes to drive anywhere there, so I'm sure that you'll link up.
Haha, you're funny.
So,
through the cornfields.
it's the
Nice.
first state. The
Yeah,
first
man. That's it.
Yeah, man, and if you're ever out in Raleigh, hit us up, by all means, and we'll definitely make link up and show you who's who in the zoo around here. You know, all the folks down in RTP, the bunker, you know, the Joint Task Force headquarters down there, the governor's work group, all of those people are just awesome. So we got to bounce you around Raleigh and link you up with our cadre of kick-ass people. So, and we got to have you out to Fob Invictus. So
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Shoot some stuff.
But I thank you so much. Do you have any shameless plugs, any links that you would like to share with the audience?
Yeah, just you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. My handle is the same. It's at Evans Daniel J. Link up with me on Facebook or LinkedIn. I'm everywhere. My profile picture is exactly the same on every single social network. And yeah, connect with me. Shoot me a message. I'm happy to answer any questions or help you out with whatever it is you need.
Cool. Right on. See, that's probably a tip right there. Have the same picture
Yeah.
on all your social
That's called
media.
that's his awesome brand management.
A little embedded for our listening audience. There you go. First little nugget of wisdom out of Dan Evans on his new mission in life. That's fantastic. Dude, keep up the good work. Keep adding value to the world. And if you guys get a chance, go over to danevansonline.com, subscribe, rate, and review his podcast. So it's been fantastic sharing Sea Stories with you, brother. You have a really unique pathway that you have gone down, I gotta say. So it's cool. Good on you. It's kick-ass. And listener and audience, go ahead, click subscribe, iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM. Give us a rating, give us a review. We're trying to get bumped up there on New and Noteworthy on iTunes. You know, a bunch of you guys listen to us on there. I'm just saying, you know, a little comment might go a long way. We'll see what happens. And this episode, as in every episode, is brought to us in part by Counter-Strike Coffee. Get 10% off using coupon code Cigars and Sea. And go ahead, get hooked up. Tell Doc Butchery that Cigars and Sea sent you his way. And we look forward to seeing you around here next time. So thanks so much for joining us on Cigars and Sea Stories. Jocelyn, cue the music!